Hey, you've made it to Live from Jules and Thom. Thanks so much for joining this evening. We had a great time, Jules and Thom and I, putting the show together. Jim Beloff is here with some live music. Vanessa Horan is an amazing youth poet. Plus, we've got features on culinary arts, history, visual arts, and lots more. So thanks for taking a little time this evening to spend with us for Live Jules and Thom. Now, if you didn't know, Jules and Thom is a cool little coffee shop and art studio in the Glenwood neighborhood of Clinton. Jules and Thom serve some of the best coffee, lattes, teas, and many other drinks. They also make some really cool, very cool dog-centric art, like you can see behind me. Since this is a virtual broadcast, you could be joining us from anywhere, really anywhere in the world, since this is a virtual event if our social media is working. We are coming to you live from Clinton, Connecticut, which is on the Long Island shoreline. But more about that later. I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Steve Van Ness. I'm the president of the Clinton Arts Council, and we decided to put this together as a way of creating an event that would be fun and interesting during these COVID times. And we thought, since COVID is taking so long for us to come back to present live events, that we would produce a COVID-friendly event that could be watched from anywhere. Someday maybe we'll have people live in Jules and Thom and have an audience here and you could join us here. But this way we could start during COVID and we could be creative, have some fun, present different aspects of our culture, and share some of all of those different things with you, all within about an hour. So let's get started. Since we're coming to you live from Jules and Thom, we should probably meet my friends, Jules and Thom.
Hey guys, Jules and Thom here. We're a husband and wife cartooning team, and we also run a little espresso bar right here in the heart of beautiful Clinton, Connecticut.
This event that you're about to watch is going to be broadcasted here in the shop, and we want to give you a little sneak peek of what it's like inside. Welcome to our shop. Here you can find an assortment of handmade products.
While you're here, be sure to check out the Doggo Collection, our raw cartoon tribute to the world's dog breeds. We print and press them onto a variety of products, which are fun for any occasion.
Excite your senses with the colors around the shop, the smell of local roasted coffee, the sounds of our favorite records, and the taste of goodies.
The next time you find yourself in the Glenwood area of Clinton, be sure to stop on by. We'd love to meet you and make you a drink.
See, I told you, this is a great gem of a coffee shop and art studio. Now, long ago, way before COVID started, the Arts Council had a storytelling series. We even presented a virtual storytelling during COVID, so we could share some of our storytelling shows with you even when COVID was going on and we were all stuck at home. So to keep storytelling alive and well, please meet Bridget Brown, the artistic director of the storytelling series, with a story that I think you'll all really relate to.
On May 7th, 1955, a young graduate student married a young East Coast woman at the University of Kansas in Lawrence. Being the son of a Pennsylvania coal miner, this man was poor and couldn't really afford an engagement ring, let alone an engagement ring with a large diamond. After that man, my father, passed away, my mom took that engagement ring with that tiny diamond and she melded it together with her wedding ring into the shape of a fleur de lis, sort of a half of a figure 8. And after she passed away, I got the ring and I've been wearing it for the better part of 23 years. I could always hear her laughing from heaven every time I got the hook of that fleur de lis hooked on something like a sweater or the Afghan that she made for me. This past February, I looked down one day and the diamond in the ring was gone. I had no idea where I lost it, but for some odd reason, a calm came over me. And every time I looked at the ring, I thought, it's okay. It's okay. Now, 2 things kept rolling through my head. Number 1, you will find it. And number 2, call Lindsay. Lindsay is the owner of the bar studio where I work out. And I thought it was dubious by that time that she or her teachers might find it because, of course, they'd vacuumed several times. And did I mention that this diamond was really small? So it's Sunday, about a week after it disappeared, and we're in the middle of a plank series, about 3/4 of the way through class. And the instructor tells us to turn in a different direction to face the mirror. I don't want to do that. And then I hear this little voice in my head. It says, don't turn that way, face the wall. And I thought it was a COVID thing because after all, we are still in class, fully masked, socially distanced. So I listened. As I'm trying badly to execute this plank, I noticed between the dark charcoal gray rug and the white baseboard of the wall, something very tiny and very shiny. Is it? Is it really? I pick up the diamond between my fingers and I stop what I'm doing. And I think to myself, what am I going to do with it? Where am I going to put it? I know, the empty zippered pocket in my coat. And so I reach over and I grab the coat and I unzip the pocket and I put it inside and I zip it back out and I finish the workout and I'm so excited. And after the workout, I make a beeline to my car. I get in, I'm thrilled, I'm grateful. I found it. I unzip the pocket. I reach inside and I reach inside and I search and I search. And I turn the coat to the inside and there are 2 really tiny holes. So small, I didn't even know that they were there. So I remask, I walk back into the studio, past everyone in the lobby. And by this time, my station had been cleaned and reset. The mat had been moved. What were the chances that it was still there? But I drop to my hands and knees and I look, and there it is. And I tightly grab it between my fingers and I make another beeline back out to my car. And I sit there and I think, now where am I going to put it? Can't put it back in the pocket. And then I remember that I have an empty Altoids can in a little garbage pail in my car. So I reach in and grab it and I open the lid and I plop it in with a clink. I close the lid tightly. I put the can in my purse and I drive home. And I'm driving home and I'm so happy that I found it. And then I think to myself, wait a minute. Bar socks, which are those socks that have like the stickies on the bottom, are always decorative and sometimes they have sequins. Maybe I just found like a sequin with some depth to it. How am I going to check that? I mean, I'm not a person who knows how to look at gems. I don't have like a microscope or anything like that. But the one thing that I do have is one of those little picture viewers, the kind that you used to put up to your eye to look at proofs of pictures. It's really probably something I should have discarded years ago. But I get home and I dig it out and I put the gem on a gray coaster on top of my TV stand. And I look at it through the lens. Looks like the diamond to me. It's really small. And I go into my bedroom and I find a sock with a sequin. The sequin's flat. It's got sewing through it. No comparison. That is not a sequin. So I walk back out to the living room to get the gem, and it's not on the coaster. It's gone. What is going on here? Somehow it had rolled off the coaster onto the TV stand. I find it again. I plop it into the Altoids can with the clink. I close the lid and I put it in my dresser drawer. The ring was still stuck on my finger at this time without the diamond in it. And it was about another week before I was able to nudge it off centimeter by centimeter. Now, look, the ring isn't worth very much in value. But when I was 18 years old, my father died, and in his will, he left me his wedding ring with the intention that I would give it to the man that I married. And about a year after my mother's death, someone broke into my New Jersey apartment and stole my father's wedding ring, a ring of my grandmother's, and my high school ring, all things very dear to me that I still regret missing. So as you can imagine, finding this diamond was monumental. And at some point, I will do something with it. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is the little voice in my head. You will find it. Call Lindsay. Now, I had worked out at that station several times during the time that I discovered the ring was gone and the time that I found it. And of course, as I said, they vacuum daily. But something about that day, that moment, and the willingness to listen to the voice that said, don't turn over, don't face the other way. It has been such a tough year for everyone. How we recover from this pandemic and from 2020 in general comes down to the ability for us to listen to our own small voice. We can find what we feel we have lost if we pay attention to that voice. And we can rebuild and we can be better. Recently, I ran into a situation where I needed to make a decision. And that ring has left a permanent mark on my finger. And in this decision that I had to make, I was struggling to hear the voice in my head. May the ring that's still on my finger remind me to wait until I hear that voice. And when the voice speaks, may I remember not to turn over, not to face the other way. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bridget. I hope I never lose anything that many times in just a few days. Just wait till COVID ends. The Arts Council will start doing storytelling live again, or maybe we'll have to do a few broadcast ones, depending on how long it takes before we can come back and do live shows. But be sure we'll be doing storytelling in the future. When we first reimagined Live from Jules and Thom, we wanted to pay it forward and give it back in some way. And Jules and Thom and I felt that that was really important. So every month we're going to pick a charity that we're going to donate money to, and we'd like you to support also. So the first charity is the Shoreline Soup Kitchen. That's going to be this month's charity. And they do such amazing frontline work, providing much needed food for the 11 towns on the shoreline of Connecticut. In 2020, they served over 150,000 people, which was over a 60% increase from 2019. That is over 1.4 million meals, most of them served to go because of COVID. Plus, they gave away 1.6 million pounds of food through their 5 food distribution pantry locations. They need our help more than ever. They get no state or local funding. So on the screen right now, you can see a link to their donation page, which was the best way to do this so that we didn't have to have another like tip jar, which would take more percentages. 97% of the money that you donate goes right to them. It's really just the credit card fees. So I'm going to challenge all of you to donate to the Shoreline Soup Kitchen, and I'm going to start by making a $100 donation right now. Well, actually, once I get off air. So thanks so much in advance for supporting the Shoreline Soup Kitchen, and each month we'll have another charity that we can all support. Now, before we get to the culinary arts part of the show, a few quick today in history facts we thought you might find interesting on April 11th. Jackie Robinson took the field for the first time with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Steve Jobs unveiled the first ever Apple computer built in his garage. Cher won an Oscar for Moonstruck, and Ellis Island opened for the first time. Okay, on to culinary arts. Each month we're going to feature a restaurant in Clinton, and we're going to start with Chow. Now, if you're not from around here and the Shoreline, you're really missing out. Not only does Chow do some of the best New Haven-style thin crust pizza in the Clinton area, but they also have their own smokers and they do barbecue, which it makes for great apps and for dinners, and they even do some of that barbecue on their pizzas. So check out Chow.
Please welcome, from your home, Jim Beloff.
Ever since the whole wide world began, see how inhumane man is to man. All throughout our history, never knowing peace, nation against nation, it just won't cease. Ever thus will it be like this forever? Ever thus can't we get along? I don't understand the world today. Guess it must be in our DNA. People fighting people, climbing to the top. People hurting people, it just won't stop. Ever thus will it be like this forever? Ever thus can't we get along? I will take your hand if you'll take mine. Maybe we could start a long, long line. Wouldn't it be perfect? Wouldn't it be grand if we found the answer was right at hand? Ever, ever thus, is it all too much to ask for? Ever, ever thus, can't we get along? Can't we get along? Could we get along?
Hey, my name is Carrie Allen, and I'm with the Clinton Historical Society as the program director. I'm here this afternoon to tell you about Abel Buell, referred to as his two different biographers, as one an unstable genius and the other as an uncommonly inventive mechanic. He was born in 1742, and by the age of 19 was already successful enough to marry his fiancée, having been apprenticed to Ebenezer Chittenden in Madison as a silversmith. So he had already invented a lapidary machine for which he received Connecticut's first patent. And this was a machine for shining stones that would help in the creation of jewelry that go along with his silversmithing, which came in handy when one of his neighbors, who did not trust him obviously, late at night saw a light in his window, dragged a ladder over to it, climbed up, looked through, and saw Abel Buell counterfeiting 5-pound notes into 20-pound notes. This was on a machine of his own making. He was taken in front of the magistrate, and he was charged as a counterfeiter, branded with a C on his forehead, and a portion of his ear was chopped off. That's the typical punishment for counterfeiters, because obviously there were a lot of counterfeiters at the time. But they treated him well because he was young. And so the brand went further up his forehead. And when the prosecutor was going to send him to jail, Abel presented him with a ring that he had made with that lapidary machine and that silversmithing background. And so he escaped time in jail. And he also left Clinton, probably having realized that this town was way too small to contain him. And he went to New Haven, where he created a minting machine that is used to this day and manufactures 120 coins per minute. And he began working on this map that you see in the top left, the first map ever made of the United States. It was thanks to a machine that he made, a printing font that he created, and was hand colored by Abel Buell and presented as the first of its kind shortly after the Revolutionary War. The coin on the bottom is one of those created by his minting machine. The top photo on the right is one of the two biographies written of him. The bottom is the actual map that he created. In his lifetime, he invented many machines, including the first textile machine that was used in this country after having visited England and understanding exactly what was involved in making that. With all of his many creations and inventions and schemes, sadly he died as a pauper in the almshouse in New Haven. And that map that he had finished probably in his 30s, mid-30s, in 2010 was sold at Christie's auction house for $1.8 million. So many hundreds of years after his death, he was finally financially successful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So now you're starting to get an idea of some of the diversity of art, culture, and history during a Live from Jules and Thom show. Jim Beloff has over 1 million songbooks in print. He has like 10 albums recorded and has a very cool ukulele collection. For those of you not from the Clinton area, thanks for your patience in watching our little Clinton history feature. And if you are from the shoreline, we thought it would be fun for you to get an idea of, and learn a little bit about some of the history of Clinton. We're going to do some little history piece, either local or international or global in some way each month in the show. And how about that chow video? If you haven't gone to chow for a meal, you should really get down there. There's some great food. Next up, a video about one of the Arts Council's ongoing COVID-friendly projects, the Sculpture Mile, which actually is way more than a mile. It's a collection of sculpture in many of the shoreline towns that the Clinton Arts Council joined about a year ago. You might see them if you're driving down Main Street. We have a collection of them out there now, and we'll keep adding to them. So check them out next time you're driving, and it would be really helpful if you can support that in some way by letting us know when you see them, because we're trying to get a sense of how impactful in the community they are. So let's look at the Sculpture Mile. Boy, I messed that up. Okay, so now we're switching again.
Sculpture Shore is a walkable collection of contemporary outdoor sculptures placed around public spaces in the communities of Clinton, Madison, Guilford, New London, and Stonington. This was the brainchild of William Bendig, the founder and editor of the influential The Art Gallery magazine. His goal was to bring world-class art to everyday people. He created the Hollycroft Foundation to facilitate this dream. The Hollycroft Foundation was started in 1992 and is a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing museum-level sculpture to the public free of charge. Volunteers now run the foundation, with President Brian Wendler at its helm. Sculpture Shore has attracted many artists from around New England who get to showcase their often large, site-specific outdoor works along 50 miles of Connecticut's lovely shoreline towns. We hope that you will take the time to view, experience, and enjoy these incredible works of art.
Eileen O'Donnell, one of our board members, is the passionate ambassador of the Sculpture Project and made all of that happen. There's so many great sculptures out there in Clinton and all over the shoreline, you should start to try to notice. Now from sculpture to Clinton's own Morgan High School senior youth poet, who is on her way to NYU Tisch School of Drama with a powerful piece of work, actually two pieces of work. Please make welcome Vanessa Horan.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Horan, and I will be performing for you two poems today. The first is entitled Currency, followed by Failing Words. Thank you. What happens when there is no time? Preoccupied with relatively uninspired tasks. I don't want to ask, but what happens? What happens is like how milk goes spoiled, how creativity comes in rations, tinfoil, crane, mobile. What happens to a mind running out the time, waiting to sit in its white noise, silent, sublime? Small smiles and light breath, frustrated with troubled clefts on edges of cliffs, craving for a page to turn. The ledge above the nightstand becomes cluttered. What happens when exhales cease to flutter? Time did not allow for the rituals of habitual consumption and production of beauty today, duties of task and jobs to complete, stagnant friendships, motions of tragic thought stopping for the freight trains to pass, trying to retrain the brain to hold on until it can settle in and just be instead of getting lost in activity, action facilitating numbness, stillness facilitating curiosity. The way I see it, the act of being curious isn't looking for the answers. It is awe and wonder, a dancer standing with no movement, a singer's thunderous silence, a diatribe of broken keys, constellations in orbit above my brain, turning and turning, getting through and by until this system allows me to cry and devote myself to the static of stationary, stationed in the stars. What happens when I don't get it out in time? Preoccupied. I wish I would hurry and finish so I can read this over and feel proud, but I will push myself to continue, permeate through the page, the one I wish to flip and feather through, fever dreams of settling into the gratitude of having this minute to focus, considering the words I find so vicious, regret, reconcile. I can't escape the organic poetry I feel in speaking, listening, being. An actor chained to silence with every limb limp, a writer blocked and unwell with hellish demons, eating. Time's still moving while we're trying to maintain, sustain this pace of living, peace in quitting, curiously killing ourselves to remain in this place of observing the telling signs of a world that broke the rewind button. What happens when we fall like frozen statues? Martyrs for the art of holding on to life. Escalators elevate carbon copies while we struggle. Shattered, tattered, and torn, a starving warrior, wishful, faithful, hungry, artist. Tuberculosis runs in our genes, coughing up all the seconds forced down our delicate throats, while stifled on shuttles, counting the streets like seconds, up and up and up, into alphabet cities where we ruminate with little elbow room to write anything of true substance, where wind will slice our hands, the ones that were crafted to create, so gloves go on, loosening our grip on every rough draft blown out of reach in drafty alleys. The clock runs out, an ode, or maybe elegy, to the eternal footman. Left with a leaky city sink, filled to the brim, half with those the sun can't reach, and half with the others who call them shady. Casting shadows and passing judgment, failing to recognize it is nobody's fault. The sun is rushed too, unable to shine at the base of skyscrapers, so we resort to scrapping scraps of paper, stuffing them into jacket pockets, praying the patched-up hole doesn't reopen, thoughts of definite origins now lost in storm drains, original work stormed over and drained out. Where am I? I sit in institutions with no cash or credit and a social security number not yet memorized, though not secure socially, scribbling on paper pulled from notebooks meant for my education, so maybe someday I too can be kissed by the sun. Here at this desk, I thank myself for taking the time to document a simple truth. This may be the last time I can comfortably produce what I was put on this earth to do without having to worry about the all too expensive produce, resorting to whatever I can scavenge. There's not much to say when we've spent our only currency on the act of continuing. Persistence is a virtue when the hourglass is falling. Permanence is a virtue when the sand is falling, moon's falling, sun is falling, sky's falling. But time, it goes on, collecting the energy spent on living on entropy. I must go, though. The bell has rung and there's not much else to say. I've spent my allowance for today. Thank you. Failing words. Words are failing me lately. They're failing you too. Dare I say, they're failing us. Us. What a word to overthink. A word to erase and rewrite. A word to pencil in until I know for sure. A word that might be displeasing to your ear. I understand the irony of using a poem to express how words alone aren't enough. But hear me. Dare I say, we are the ones failing words. We. I trip over this one. A new shirt of a word to put on before I leave the house, but cover up with a sweater because it doesn't fit quite right. We are failing these wardrobe words. Not purposefully, but by circumstance. We cannot fulfill the definition of a we or an us presently. You and I both emptied our dressers in attempts to find the right-sized supplements, stringing them together in outfits of, how was your day? What are you doing and how are you? Ensembles of conversation. It became very routine. Get up, get dressed, go to school. We became fashion experts of small talk, always bringing a jacket just in case we get too cold, too uncomfortable. Clearly, body heat doesn't work separately when we is separated into you and me. But for me, at least, I only have 4 drawers and a closet, and on my floor there are heaps of sentences that don't fit quite right, wrinkled and unworn. Now, we could pick them up, wash them, fold them, and put them away, only just to start over, trying new accessories and styles, but that will not help the body wearing them. We've become too good at small talk, wearing what's comfortable. I'm afraid of stagnancy. There's things I want to talk about, but are impossible to offer as conversation until we meet again, skin on skin, hand on hand. One glance and I'll be able to tell what you're thinking. I'll be able to cradle your hectic head. I'm grateful for the means to an end that is called texting. But I am half a human on those little blue bubbles. Less than half, actually. Practically nothing at all except frequent frequencies and photons of light bursting at your screen. How sexy. Mannerisms are entirely their own thing, whether naked or clothed, silent or conversing, though yours are still foreign to me. And it's not like I can put on your shirt and immediately feel familiar with the whole of you that has tendencies and habits, physicalities. I wish I knew better what it felt like to move around you, to walk, to dance, to spin, or maybe just share a full cycle of breath. You are the first person I've kissed with my eyes closed every time. What is the difference between intimacy, romance, and attraction? I heard that distance makes the heart grow fonder, but I disagree. It turns the heart to static. A muffled, misty blur of trying to stay grounded in the future and the past, whichever feels closer to the next or last time I get to see you. All we have presently are legs, jeans, good morning, arms, shirt, how are you, today was good, feet, socks, so sunny here, shoes. Now I don't want to be the center of anything, not of your world, not of your heart. I just want to be a part of something bigger, something where the whole is much greater than the sum of its parts. Maybe a rainy day with you would clear it all up. A day with nothing to do but exist in the same space. A day where I can lay on your chest and rest my palms on your collarbone and ask you all I wanted without saying a single word. I will feel the answer hug me like the most perfect fitting silk dress. What makes your heart beat best? Have you ever gotten butterflies? When was your last light bulb moment? Is there a place you can be happy all day with nothing to do? Do you like talking to strangers? Will you find comfort when kingdom comes? How much pleasure can really come from pain? Do you pray only when you're asking for something? This poem was near unwritable, just like you. Probably because words fail without the other senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. I do laundry when I am bored and am missing you. Colors, denims, darks, whites, intimates. Thank you.
So now you understand why you should come down to Jules and Thom and get a coffee or something, if you're not already a regular. Thanks for doing that giveaway, Jules and Thom, and I think they're going to be doing something like that every month. So starting next month, we're going to have a Jules and Thom feature on a local Connecticut beanery, roaster. They have found like the best coffee beanery roaster companies in the state of Connecticut, and they feature some of them here. You may have even seen them in the background on the other side where I was sitting. So come into the shop and get a coffee and become a Jules and Thom fan. So I'm so glad you got to hear and see Vanessa's great talent for the spoken word. Thanks so much, Vanessa. Here's something back to our sponsor and our cause for this month, the Shoreline Soup Kitchen. Jules and Thom put together this little segment about the Shoreline Soup Kitchen, a little video to show off some of the volunteers that do some of the great work that make the Shoreline Soup Kitchen happen. So take a quick look. Once again, Jim Beloff.
This next song is called The Open Road, and I chose it because all of us are so eager to get out and see the world again. And so it seemed very appropriate. There is a story behind it, and that is that over the years, I've had the pleasure of writing a lot of songs for the actor William H. Macy. And many years ago, he did a biker film, a motorcycle movie called Wild Hogs. And he's a ukulele fan, of course, and he asked me if I could write him a quick song that he might be able to sing in a campfire scene in the movie. He gave me basically one day to write it. I wrote it, and ultimately it didn't make it into the movie, but I ended up with this song anyway, and we like to play it, especially now. Give me the open road, oh, the open road is where I'm bound. I know where it will lead, where it will lead is sacred ground. No stop signs, no waiting lines, just western pines all around. Give me the open road, oh, the open road is where I'm bound. I've seen those city streets, those city streets are not for me. I know where they will lead, and that's no place I wanna be. The rat race, the frantic pace, I need a place to be free. Give me the open road, oh, the open road is where I'm bound. Give me the open road, oh, the open road is where I'm bound. I know where it will lead, where it will lead, sacred ground. No stop signs, no waiting lines, just western pines all around. Give me the open road, oh, the open road is where I'm bound. Guess I've got to roam, 'cause the open road will lead me home.
Thanks, Jim, so much. We all need that uplifting song, and to get out on the road, or at least to just get out in the backyard or just be outside. Well, that's our show for this evening. I hope you had as much fun watching it as we did putting it together. And as you may know, this was the first inaugural ever Live from Jules and Thom, and we plan on doing this every month. So stay tuned to your social media for the date in May that we'll be coming back with a whole new show. I'd like to especially thank Jim and Vanessa and Bridget for participating in our very first show, and they put so much into coming out and trying to perform when there isn't an audience, which is never easy. And a special thanks to Jules and Thom, who are right here behind me switching everything. You might have seen their arm a couple times. They made this broadcast possible and helped envision this whole thing with the Arts Council. And if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, if you talk to people about it, and when you see the posts for the May show coming up, if you'd share them with your friends, that would be great. Don't forget to give to the Shoreline Soup Kitchen. Have a great week, and we'll see you next month. Good
Tan que la cañe መሰረቴ ሀሳብ ብቻ ሆኖ የኔ መሰረቴ ስጋዬን ጨርሶ አስቀረኝ ባጥንቴ አምጬም አልወልደው ሀሳብ ተሸክሜ አምጬም አልወልደው ሀሳብ ተሸክሜ መልኬን ላወጠው ተሰበረ ቅስሜ ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሰርቼ ልብላበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 የቅርቡ ሳይሞላ አርቄ እያሰብኩኝ እግዜር ያለው ላቀረ እየተጨነኩኝ መኖሬን ረሳሁ እኔን ተገንሳኩኝ ለማይሞላ ጎጆ ለማይቃና ቤት ለማይሞላ ጎጆ ለማይቃና ቤት በሀሳብ ቆስሏል ጎኔን ስንት ዓመት ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሰርቼ ልብላበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 እንዲህ የማስበው እስኪ ሰበር ቅስሜ እንዲህ የማስበው እስኪ ሰበር ቅስሜ ለየትኛው ቀን ነው ለየትኛው ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሰርቼ ልብላበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 አታንገላታኝ ስራዬን ልስራበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳብ ብቻ ሆኖ የኔ መሰረቴ ሀሳብ ብቻ ሆኖ የኔ መሰረቴ ስጋዬን ጨርሶ አስቀረኝ ባጥንቴ አምጬም አልወልደው ሀሳብ ተሸክሜ አምጬም አልወልደው ሀሳብ ተሸክሜ መልኬን ላወጠው ተሰበረ ቅስሜ ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሰርቼ ልብላበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 የቅርቡ ሳይሞላ እያሰብኩኝ እግዜር ያለው ላይ ቀረ እየተጨነኩኝ መኖሬን ረሳሁ እኔን መገንሳትኩኝ ለማይሞላ ጎጆ ለማይቃና ቤት ለማይሞላ ጎጆ ለማይቃና ቤት በሀሳብ ቆስሏል ጎኔን ስንት ዓመት ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሰርቼ ልብላበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳብ 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 እንዲህ የማስበው እስቴ ሰበር ቅስሜ እንዲህ የማስበው እስቴ ሰበር ቅስሜ ለየትኛው ቀን ነው ለየትኛው ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሰርቼ ልብላበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 ሲባክን አታንገላታኝ ስራዬን ልስራበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳብ ብቻ ሆኖ የኔ መሰራቴ ሀሳብ ብቻ ሆኖ የኔ መሰራቴ ስጋዬን ጨርሶ አስቀረኝ ባጥንቴ አምጬም አልወልደው ሀሳብ ተሸክሜ አምጬም አልወልደው ሀሳብ ተሸክሜ መልኬን ላወጠው ተሰበረ ቅስሜ ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳብ ኧረ ሀሳብ አታንገላታኝ ሰርቼ ልብላበት ለቀቅ አድርገኝ ሀሳቤ 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 የቅርቡ ሳይሞላ አርቄ እያሰብኩኝ እግዜር ያለው ላይ ቀረ እየተጨነኩኝ መኖሬን ረሳሁ እኔን መገንሳትኩኝ ለማይሞላ ጎጆ ለማይቃና ቤት ለማይሞላ ጎጆ ለማይቃና ቤት በሀሳብ ቆስሏል ጎኔን ስንት ዓመት ሀሳቤ 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 ሀሳቤ